Welcome to this video where we'll discuss Forza Horizon 6. Today, we're discussing the most annoying things in Forza Horizon 5 that we definitely want to avoid in Forza Horizon 6. All the mistakes developers should avoid if they want players to stay interested after a year and a half. It's always a shame, even disappointing, for games meant to last 5 years. So, I made a little list of things I absolutely don't want to see again in Forza Horizon 6. Of course, you can make your own list in the comments too. There were likely things in the game that annoyed you, maybe even made you stop wanting to play. If that's the case, list what you definitely don't want in Forza Horizon 6 in the comments below this video. First, there's something I wanted to discuss. It's not what bothered me most in Forza Horizon 5, but still, let's say, it's quite a powerful symbol of the developer's laziness in some cases. I wanted to discuss car modeling, as it's notable in both Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Motorsport, released in 2023. There are certain cars, like for example the Nissan Silvia S15 that you see here, that have had exactly the same 3D modeling for 20 years. Here's an example with the Nissan Silvia S15, but there are many others. We could discuss the Mercedes 190 Evo 2, the Skyline, R32, R33, R34, or the Toyota Trueno. And still, these are just a few examples compared to the dozens of vehicles for which this is the case. But indeed, there are cars that have been modeled only once. For the first Forza games released in the early 2000s, the 3D model was never updated. So yes, the textures have been improved, some details have been added, but on certain cars the proportions just aren't right. I really hope that for Forza Horizon 6, a good number of the models will be completely remodeled, but I'm almost sure, unfortunately, that there will probably be a few for which that's not the case. I wanted to talk to you a little bit next. Customization. So, indeed, Horizon 6 will take place in Japan. As a birthplace of tuning, we can expect more and varied customization options, such as neon lights. We've already talked about that in another video. What I really wanted to highlight here is the damn kit, Forza, on every car in the game, and that's been the case, I want to say, since Forza Motorsport 4 on every car in the game. We have the Forza Aero that's available, the Forza Aero. It allows you to unlock the settings on many cars, the Aero settings, which are extremely important because they simply let you redefine a car's handling in corners. The thing is, in 99% of cases, the wings in particular, well, that's less the case now. For Forza bumpers, which just add a small lip and splitter, it's not really ugly and hard to criticize. For the wing, though, it's something else. Look at the wing, for example, available on the Volkswagen ID.4. It's just an example, but would you say it's the same thing? Is that true for all cars in the game? The Forza wing is basically always the same. Many players are asking themselves this question and hesitating. Often, it's between playing with a car that's ugly but fast, or playing with a car that looks better but doesn't handle well in corners. It would be great if they solved this, since other games handle it well. If we look at the Cool Motor Fest, each car has custom kits, personalized and invented by the game's developers. In Gran Turismo 7, most cars offer a choice of 2 or 3 body kits for spoilers, and spoilers, which are usually very similar. You can also customize their height and profile. What if they just put that in Forza Horizon 6? Select the spoiler height and choose from 3, 4, or 5 custom spoiler profiles for any car in the game. That would allow us, the players, to be able to play more often, with cars that not only look better, but are also more efficient and adjustable on the road. Alright, let's discuss one of the most annoying things in Forza Horizon 5 that I think causes many players to quit: the map. While the map is nice and diverse, it has issues. There are mountains, coastal roads, and good graphics overall. That's not the issue. The problem is that the map is extremely annoying to get around. It's true that you can literally cross the whole map without any real obstacles or needing to pay attention to the roads. It's a map that's generally pretty flat except for the mountain to my left, which might be the highest point in the game. Other than that, this map is boring as hell. And why is this map so boring? It's because it was designed for Eliminator mode. The Eliminator is Forza Horizon 5's Battle Royale mode. It was a mode we already had in Horizon 4, and actually, in Horizon 4 it was very popular at the time. They really managed to take advantage of the Battle Royale trend, and they thought they'd try the experience again in Forza Horizon 5. Well, it didn't really work out for them this time. The Battle Royale trend ended around 2020-2021 near Forza Horizon 5's release. So, it's really a bit of a losing bet. But on top of that, The whole map was designed for this mode. That means the whole map was designed so you could drive through forests, drive through deserts, while dueling against another player, possibly being chased by the zone, without there being too many obstacles and without the map being too hard to anticipate or predict, if you will. So, it creates a map that's really annoying to revisit after going through it a few times, even just for walks. There aren't any surprises, so you don't need to focus much while driving. And worst of all, Forza Horizon 5 never really cared about the eliminators. Unlike Horizon 4, they made efforts, repeatedly changed the mode, and updated the car list for it. They made small updates so the fun would change a little from time to time. But in Horizon 5, they really didn't give a damn. Let's not sugarcoat it, that's the truth. They never did anything for this battle royale, even though there might have been a way to do better. And maybe, as a result, it would have made this mode more interesting. And for this map, meanwhile, the map is really way too flat and way too uninteresting, honestly. They must never repeat that in Forza Horizon 6. So, the good news is that in the meantime, as I was saying, the Battle Royale trend is dead. So, I think they're going to focus much less on the Eliminator mode. Maybe we won't even have it. The other good news is that I think with a map set in Japan, there's very little chance we'll end up with a map as flat as Mexico. I think they're going to focus on the mountains, the coastal roads, the winding little roads, the lakes, and the big cities. Overall, that was the main criticism of Forza Horizon 5. Honestly, I hope every day that Horizon 6 will be different. Alright, next, let's talk about a point that's a bit controversial because not everyone necessarily agrees on this. But honestly, I think it's also one of the main reasons why players have largely lost interest in Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon games, and actually this applies to other racing games and even games in general. Forza Horizon has become way too easy and the progression is way too fast. What I mean by that is, we've reached a point where having credits and experience points in the game is almost useless, because we're bombarded 24/7 with rewards, whether it's credits, new cars, or prize draws. After a few minutes of playing, you usually have a garage filled with dozens of supercars, which means that there's not really any surprise or interest left in unlocking really fast and high-performance cars. They really need to find a solution to that. I really think that for the sake of a game that's supposed to last several years, they should make it so that we start with slower cars. Because, well, in Horizon 5 we still start with Corvettes and Supras. So we're already dealing with cars that have 300, even 500 horsepower in some cases. I believe Forza Motorsport 4 had the best progression in the series. For those who played or for those who watched my streams where we recently replayed the game, Forza Motorsport 4 was exceptional because you really started with small everyday cars that you could upgrade and really make more powerful. Then you would unlock city cars, compacts, then the first sedans, the first GTs, supercars, and finally, hypercars. You couldn't get all the hypercars and supercars after just 5 hours of play, which made unlocking them more motivating. And when you got a really high-performance new car, you were really happy to unlock it. So I know there are players who will say, yeah, but I don't have time to play Forza Horizon, I just want to quickly play with all my dream cars. I understand that perspective, but don't forget that Forza games are designed to last for 5 years. And even if you only play Forza for 1 or 2 hours a week, over 5 years, that's literally hundreds of hours of gameplay. And you'll literally have all the cars to enjoy. So, of course, there's a compromise to be made. We also shouldn't get to the point where you have to grind for hours like in Forza Motorsport just to get a new car. That's too annoying and not in the Forza spirit. Returning to a progression system like Motorsport 4 or Horizon 1 would, I think, really benefit the franchise. And that's true for cars, money, and everything else. I'll show you my personal example in the game Forza Horizon. I've played a lot. Obviously, I made videos about it and did them regularly, along with streams and other things. Right now, in my garage, I have 1,155 cars. The number of cars I have is absurd, and keep in mind that there are probably hundreds more that I deleted from my garage or sold because they were duplicates, or because I sold cars to subscribers through the showroom. I think I actually have about 1,500 to 2,000 cars in the game. Even though I've only done 1,020 races, that means, on average, I think I must have won between 1.5 and 2 cars per event completed. In the game, that's a lot. Maybe even too much. I'm not sure if the game's stats show how many cars you've bought from the dealership, but I'm pretty sure I've bought a maximum of 150 to 200 cars. The rest are just gifts and rewards. I think that 80% of the cars I have in my garage, I got them without even really knowing I was getting them. even in terms of their value. I've earned 447 million credits in the game since I started. I have a garage worth over 1 billion credits, but anything above 999 million isn't counted. So, there's a problem with the game's progression. If you want another example, look at the number of spins and super spins I've done. Even though lately I hardly play the game anymore. Here, I have 80 spins, what the fuck? I didn't even know I had that many. I still have 30 super spins, which is a lot. And that's not even counting the probably hundreds of spins I must have waiting for me in the gifts. You there? I have 14 there. I have 28, etc. I think I have about 50 to collect, maybe more, with some great spins. Yeah, I think it's much more than that. Honestly, it's the only game I know of where you win almost as much by not playing as you do by playing. It's absurd. So I think that in Horizon 6, the rewards should be lower, at least for credits, not necessarily for experience points. It's cool to level up fast and get occasional bonuses when you do, but I think it would be really interesting in the long run for Forza Horizon 6 to offer lower rewards, less credits, a little less experience points, and to be less bombarded with cars and rewards, with prize draws after every event. People will probably comment, "But you say that because you can play video games all day?" That's not my case. I work and don't have time to grind, I get that. But don't forget that what makes driving a car in a game enjoyable. A car that's a bit stylish is also enjoyable because we struggled a bit to unlock it. That's what makes it special. Otherwise, when we're bombarded with supercars, in the end, we start not to care much about them. We switch models without noticing what makes the cars unique, their sound, customization, or other features. When you unlock so many, in the end, you end up losing interest and just end up giving up. We still paid $100 for this game, which is a shame. There's also another thing to fix, even if it's minor. In my opinion, the expansion system will also be heavily debated. Forza Horizon 6 will likely have an expansion system, as with most Forza games. A few months after the game releases, we'll get a themed downloadable content map, followed by a second one a few months later. It's not a bad system. Changing the atmosphere between DLCs lets you discover new things and makes it feel like a new game. On the other hand, we've had this system in Forza for 10 to 15 years now, and it would be nice to see it evolve a little, even if it means offering an expansion, let's say, a bit like what the Crew Motorfest does. That is, a map expansion based on the original map. For example, Forza Horizon 6 may start with a 150 to 200 square kilometer map set in Japan. It would be great if both had an expansion that kept the same Japanese theme, even if it means introducing new biomes or focusing on a particular region of Japan, and expanding this map by 50 square kilometers. That would at least allow us to access the expansions without loading screens. Because, well, even if it's not extremely annoying, having a loading screen, every time you want to leave the base map to go to an expansion, well, it kind of breaks the immersion, it takes you out of the game a bit. And then, well, they should also stop with the stupid partnerships, because that's also something we need to talk about. Players usually dislike expansions partnered with brands the most. When you look at the LEGO expansion, half the players hated it. They really trashed this downloadable content. And then, in the case of the Hot Wheels expansions, well, there were duplicates. Since we already had a Hot Wheels expansion in Forza Horizon 3, and then we got another one in Horizon 5. So, of course, it feels a bit like deja vu. But also, and especially, if you don't like Hot Wheels, if you don't like the idea of doing loops in a car, well, in the end, you have a downloadable content that's almost useless. I think that in general, the expansions that are really anticipated by players are the ones that come straight from the developer's imagination, like Blizzard Mountain or Fortune Island, which are great. I never understood why they insisted on branded expansions in Horizon 3, 4, and 5, if in the end it's just to release expansions that aren't really appreciated by the players. So, a real map expansion based on the base map, plus a second expansion without any partnership. I think that would be the right recipe to modernize the expansion system of Forza Horizon 6, without changing everything either, while keeping, let's say, a bit of the series' DNA. But also, without splitting the community over bold artistic choices they wouldn't like. To conclude, I want to discuss two related points: drip feeding and festival selection. Drip feeding is the act of holding back part of the game's content to release it gradually in the game, little by little. That is, like for example in Horizon 4 or Horizon 5.1, new car per week? We can't complain about getting a new car every week. For 5 years, or for 3-4 years, that's huge. Every week we get new things to test in the game and we won't complain about it. What I think some players are complaining about is that there are way too many models being removed from the new Forza games, only to come back later through drip feeding. If every week we added a new car that has never been in another Forza before, that would be really cool. But when some cars mysteriously vanish from the base car list, that's a different issue. To come back 6 months later, it's not very interesting. So, let me give you an example. For example, the Mercedes Sport Leicht 65 Aufrecht Melcher Grossasbach is a very cool car. It's a car that arrived in Forza Horizon 5 with update number 22. That means we had to wait 22 months, almost 2 years before we could get this car in the game. The thing is, we've already had this car in Horizon 1, 2, 3, and 4. That means the developers deliberately removed it from the game's car list when Forza Horizon 5 was released, thinking to themselves, well, let's add it 22 months later. What a great idea. With the 65, it's not very bothersome, because it's still a pretty cool car, and it represents, let's say, a really incredible period in automotive history. The issue is Forza Horizon 5 has a lot of bad cars. Little known or unpopular cars that vanished between Horizon 4 and Horizon 5. We also had to deal with that for weeks during festival selection. So why not drip feed? Having new cars every week, alright? Okay, but in that case, let them really be new cars. And for me, drip feeding is really connected to one of the others. Huge problems with Forza Horizon, which I really hope to see change in Forza Horizon 6. The Festival Playlist. The Festival Playlist is a system that appeared with Forza Horizon 4, and, on paper, it's pretty nice. Because it's a series of weekly challenges, so renewed every week, that allow you to earn various rewards. So, it goes from super wheel spins to credits, to clothing, but also to new cars. For example, the Sport Leicht 65 was available as a Festival Playlist reward, right here, instead of the Rennsport. 4. Most cars in Forza Horizon 5, about 90%, were unlocked via the Festival Playlist system, but there are so many of them. First of all, it's a system that's extremely repetitive. Every week, it's the same thing. So yes, the tracks will change, and the car themes too. But still, every week, we have the same number of events to do, we have the same amount. For example, we have one test and 1 or 2 event labs. We'll have a radar, a drift zone, a pioneer. It's super predictable, it's always the same thing. Honestly, I think many of us on Horizon 5 forced ourselves to play, because the car we were going to unlock interested us, but the way to unlock that vehicle, I think, really annoyed us. We really need to find a way to rethink this festival hub. Ideally, it would be much better to have a lot fewer events, but events that are either, let's say, more interesting to do, or a bit unique in their own way. For example, it's really simple. But when we unlock the Rennsport 4 earlier, why not give us a slightly longer event? Maybe a timed one, for example, that would retrace the history of the Rennsport 4, with a bit of narration that would tell us why and how sport wagons became truly legendary. Last week at Audi, it was the 900 Gran Turismo 3. We could do something similar about Porsche's history or the Gran Turismo 3. We don't need 50 repetitive events each week. Just 2 or 3 fun ones are enough. Ones that don't make us anxious when starting the game would be perfect. We could also imagine another system where every week you do need to earn a certain number of points, but where the points would be counted for everything you do in the game, and not only in the festival section's challenges. For example, doing the Goliath gives me X points. Buying a car or spending 1,000,000 credits gives me 1 point each. Basically everything I do in the game, even without actually doing it. The activities offered in the festival section count toward unlocking the car of the week. That would encourage players to log into the game, to still take part in Forza Horizon activities, without necessarily forcing them to do activities they don't really want to do or aren't really interested in. And by the way, I also think there's a change that should be considered for the festival playlist. It's the fact that each week, once we reach the end of the week, the car that was up for grabs the previous week can't be won anymore. And sometimes you have to wait 6 months, maybe even a year. That probably happened in Forza Horizon 4. For example, it took 2.5 years to unlock the Superfast again. This system is really poorly designed. Many players sometimes can't log into the game at the right time for various reasons. They'll miss out on a car they were truly interested in. So, it's a system called Fear of Missing Out, the Fear of Missing Out, which really pushes, let's say it plays on the player's fear of missing out on the content offered by the game, to push them to log in on a very specific date. There's really no point to it, and it's something that players now hate. More and more. Games offer something similar, but have found a little solution, like for example the Crew Motorfest. Once a season or a summit is over, Those summit rewards arrive in the shop. Special. You earn a special currency by joining specific races, which you can use to claim some expired rewards. I mean, you could easily imagine that in Forza Horizon 5, once a car is no longer in the festival playlist, it shows up at the dealership 4 weeks later. A high price? Why not? That might motivate players to play at the time, to unlock it a month earlier than others, and without having to pay for it, by spending hard-earned credits. But it would also keep from annoying players who can't play the game regularly, and who might have missed out on one of the models they really wanted to unlock. So I think that if Forza Horizon 6 fixes, even just maybe, let's be honest, 3 of these 6 major negative points of Forza Horizon 5, you'll have a game that's much more enjoyable to play, that will really last much longer, and that might even be able to last 4 years, without really feeling the effect of boredom. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Once again, don't hesitate to share the things that really annoyed you in Horizon 5 and that you really don't want to see again in Forza Horizon 6. Feel free to leave a like on this video to help with its visibility and ranking. We know that game developers always watch YouTubers' videos to get feedback from their community and to know a bit about which direction to take for game updates. Even without a big channel, boosting a video increases its chances. One day the developers might hear a bit about your feedback, so don't hesitate to like for that reason. I also have a Twitch. If you're interested, join a live chat about Forza Horizon 6 racing games, other games, or cars. Follow me with the link below and use your Prime to support my channel. And also don't hesitate to use my instant gaming link, which will be below this video. And just a reminder, it lets you buy your games for less. Thanks for supporting the channel. Ending the video here. See you soon for the next one. Ciao.